Here we are at the final episode of the Sun Trilogy. At least for now it's going to be the final episode. We'll obviously return to the Sun later. What kind of a star is our Sun? I encourage you to watch the previous 2 episodes just to have all information in place. We know that our Sun is a G-type main sequence yellow dwarf. In today's episode, we'll explore the Sun's entire life cycle. So again, what kind of a star our Sun is? It is a 2nd or 3rd generation star. What does it mean? That multiple generations of stars had to evolve, burn out, eventually die, explode as supernovae to make the birth of a sun possible. On the other hand, our star is a so-called population 1 star. It sounds illogical, doesn't it? If it's a 2nd or 3rd generation star, why is it a population 1 star? It's because populations numeration is reverse. By the Roman numeral 1, the youngest stars are indicated, like our Sun is. Roman numeral 2 stands for older stars, already metal-rich stars, while Roman numeral 3 indicates the most ancient stars of the universe, which consisted of hydrogen and helium. Heavier elements like carbon, oxygen, and others were created during supernovae. None of the most ancient stars, the so-called 1st generation stars of the universe, exist today. Poetically saying, we were born from the ashes of these old stars. That is cosmic recycling. Roughly 5 billion years ago, a molecular cloud of gas and dust was spinning in space. When something interfered with this cloud, it could be a shockwave from a supernova or a gravitational wave from a similar cloud. As this pushed this molecular cloud, it started spinning faster while its temperature kept rising. But this was not yet our Sun, this was just a protostar. It took even faster spinning and higher temperature for the core to ignite, fusion begin, that is, the Sun to be born. And all the planets and celestial bodies we know in our solar system were created of the cloud of gas and dust. Our Sun was born, but the young Sun was not exactly like the star we know today. It was cooler and fainter. It had approximately 70% of its current luminosity. Magnetically, however, it was even more active because it was rotating faster. It means that stellar winds were bombarding Earth even more frequently and more intensely than today. But if the Sun was fainter and cooler, how come Earth already had liquid water back in those days? The explanation is that back in those days, Earth was overcoming a major greenhouse effect, which made liquid water possible. Eventually, the Sun entered its main sequence, in which it is still and in which it will be for approximately 5 billion years. We know that the Sun is a ball of churning plasma, and it's so-called a magnetic monster. The magnetic lines are tangled, they snap and are reconnected constantly, as we discussed it in the second part of the Sun Trilogy. All the processes going on in the Sun are not only producing incredible amount of energy, but they create incomprehensible acoustic waves. You might remember from the Saturn video, while we were speaking about the so-called sound of Saturn's rings, I told you that we are extremely lucky that there is vacuum in space. If sound traveled in space, if those acoustic waves from the Sun reached Earth, life would have not evolved. Even if all the living beings would be deaf, the nervous system of each organism would be triggered by the noise from the Sun, which would sound like a chainsaw or a never-ending rock concert. It would be impossible to exist in such conditions. But even though the main sequence lasts billions of years, it doesn't last forever. Comes the time when the Sun, or any star basically, runs out of fuel, that is hydrogen. The normal fusion comes to an end. The core will still be a nuclear reactor, but in a different way. Helium will start fusing. 3 helium nuclei will fuse into carbon. A carbon nucleus plus a helium nucleus will fuse into oxygen, and so on. The Sun will constantly get brighter. By the way, it's already 30% brighter than it was at the beginning of the main sequence. As its life approaches to an end, it will be brighter, while the core contracts. The Sun will not explode as a supernova because it doesn't have enough mass. And it definitely will not become a neutron star or a black hole. It will become a red giant, but the Earth is doomed even before the Sun enters this phase. As the Sun atmosphere expands, Earth oceans will start evaporating. So there will be kind of Venusian conditions, a runaway greenhouse effect. Later, the Earth's atmosphere will be stripped away. And what will be the ultimate fate of the Earth? We don't know. As the Sun loses its mass, its gravity weakens. So Earth's orbit will shift a bit outward. The swelling atmosphere, however, will still pull Earth inward. It might be engulfed just like Mercury and Venus, or it might escape it due to its orbit. But either this or that way, the planet will be uninhabitable because it will be a celestial body of molten rock. And what will happen to the Sun after its red giant phase? It will evolve into something really spectacular. A planetary nebula. It's a tricky name because it has nothing to do with planets. It's only that astronomers of bygone days were reminded of disks of planets. That's why they named it Planetary Nebula. But the core, as it shrinks, will not have enough gravity to keep this cloud around it. So all the elements will be scattered into space, while the core becomes very small, very hot, and very dense. That is a white dwarf. It will not produce energy or heat, but the energy and heat produced over billions of years will be radiated into space in trillions of years. And when it happens, the core will no longer glow. It will become an Earth-sized black dwarf. But we don't really know what black dwarfs are because our universe is still too young to have an object like this. On the other hand, even if there were black dwarfs, they would be extremely hard to spot. But every end is a new beginning. All the elements scattered into space during the Sun's red giant and planetary nebula phase will mix with interstellar medium to later become a new molecular cloud, which means that new stars and new planets will be born. Nothing is ever lost. Everything transforms. And this brings us to the end of our journey through the solar system, for the time being. By the way, have you seen the lunar eclipse last night? There was just a partial eclipse from my part of the world, but I hope you in the US watched and enjoyed it. We will return to our solar system because there is so much more to be discovered. But for the next few episodes, my artistic side takes the wheel. Next time I'll share with you a short story in both languages, so wait till the English version is out. And in accordance with my promise, I'll share 1 or 2 songs of mine. After that, we'll return to our star and beyond our star system, that is, the interstellar space. So subscribe not to miss any content.